We're back with a brain trust and a hot new book that's got everyone talking. In the new book, Double Down, coming out on Tuesday, the authors allege that President Obama's team left Vice President Joe Biden out of campaign strategy meetings and even considered replacing him with then Secretary of State Hillary Clinton on the 2012 ticket. The White House and campaign staffers are vehemently denying this. Former senior Obama advisor David Nakamuro tweeting this: VP swap was never in play. Biden's taken on many tough assignments. He's been loyal friend and wise counselor. POTUS is lucky to have him. That was a tweet. So, Chris, what do you think? Were they thinking Hillary possibly here?
You know, bottom line, I think it's much ado about nothing. I think it's more an effort to try to sell a book.
It's going to sell books.
And it will sell books. I mean, I've been involved in many of my own campaigns running for Congress, and typically you will have a plethora of names of candidates in there just to test out different attributes and characteristics.
Sure.
And Bill Daley has stepped up to the plate and indicated he was one of the staffers in the White House in favor of this. But I suspect there was really no serious consideration to it. And frankly, even if there was, Hillary probably wouldn't have jumped on the ticket mainstream. She's better off if she wants to running without having whatever baggage there may be for a second Obama term.
Okay, so you're saying it was a matter of process, but never a serious consideration, but a matter of process.
Yes.
Okay, David, you know, a White House spokesman Jay Carney asked yesterday if President Obama knew about any potential VP swaps. Listen to this.
So you're saying he was aware of this or was not?
I believe, look, I think if you ask the people who were more directly running the campaign that question, they might have an answer. I'm not aware that he was aware of it.
All right, so, you know, in those conversations about kicking Biden off the ticket here, is it possible that the president may not have been aware of those discussions happening around him?
Well, Richard, I think Chris is right in what she said. I covered the campaign, and there were moments where the president seemed to have, lost some of the momentum they had 4 years ago. That voters, even young voters, had, weren't as motivated. What could get them back motivated? And Hillary Clinton was riding high in the polls as Secretary of State. So there was talk even back very publicly, among pundits and so on. So I'm sure the campaign probably were thinking about every potential option. It would be derelict if they didn't. Whether it reached the level of President Obama or was serious, it looks unlikely. David Plouffe is very adamant about that. So I think that this is a lot of talk. Biden's role in this White House has been, periodically questioned about how serious a contender he is, all these gaps. But he's a serious person, and I think that someone tweeted yesterday, says a lot more than Daley's gone and Biden's still there. What does that say?
Gotcha. Katon, what's your thought on this?
Well, the president didn't know. I won't buy that because the president obviously didn't know about the NSA. He didn't know about eavesdropping. He didn't know about the IRS, and he didn't know the website wasn't going to work. So I'm not surprised that the president didn't know about the swap. I do remember the poll numbers. That they're political animals, and they're obviously good at it because they got reelected. Very good at it. So I remember thinking it was going to happen. I do. I remember thinking what a brilliant move, because gasoline prices were up. There were a lot of reasons, not just of why he shouldn't have been reelected. And at that time, his numbers were sagging. So I thought it was reasonable, and I was hoping it wouldn't happen.
You thought it was mathematical, and you did not want it to happen.
I did not, because then that took any chance I thought we had. And I thought we had a good shot, regardless of who we were nominated. I thought we had a really good shot with just the things, Chris. When you've got gasoline prices, you've got economy, you're still at war. We had a lot of things that any operative would look from anywhere and say, man, how is that guy going to get reelected?
All right, so this book, Chris Matthews, Hardball host, Chris said this about what that book might mean. Take a listen.
I'll tell you what the big news in this book is, that Joe Biden's running for president and has been running for president since 2011. And Joe Biden will be running for president and will have certainly decided to run long before Hillary Clinton makes any public or private indication whether she's running or not.
All right, so Chris Matthews, there, host of Hardball, saying that. What do you think, Chris?
Well, far be me to disagree with Chris Matthews, who I like very much.
Is this all about Biden running for 2016?
Well, I think both he and Hillary are running in different ways. They're running to keep their options open, to keep their name out there, to keep the basis of support in different areas that they need. I think what the book message is for me, the strong message is, and this is an anti-Obama message in a way, he says that he didn't know who his top 5 bundlers were in campaigning. He barely knew George Soros. And I'm agreeing with my friend here about this, because it shows a president who needs to get into the details. I worked in the Clinton administration, and the difference you had is when Bill Clinton was president, he would roll up his sleeves, he'd get into the minutia of legislation, he'd negotiate on the Hill, he'd probably know whether that computer system was up and running on Obamacare or not. I think President Obama has been a good president, but he needs to become the chief of staff, the chief executive officer better than he has been, and I think this this is an example. What comes out in this book is that he's really hands-off, whether it's the campaign trail, where it's some of the things going on in the White House. And this day and age, you can't be above the fray as much as he is. He needs to get back involved, and I suspect some of his staff people are trying to get him to do that.
Katon, about Biden, if it is about Biden or Hillary, how does that change Republican strategy?
Nothing ever does in Republican primaries. They don't even worry about who it is over there. We're so busy sometimes circling the wagon, shooting each other. We've got the factions in the party right now that are way in party purity, principles, ideological, and that's, I'll compliment the Democrats. At least the liberal left is not organized to take people out in primaries. We've got a big fight financially, but the Republican Party is going to have to find its soul. That's what the next presidential thing is going to do. We've got to find a leader that we can be behind.
Kate and Chris David, stick around. Up next, this week's most overlooked and underplayed stories. We got that.